In this video, we will be creating a JavaScript calculator. So this will be the calculator that we will be creating, and we will make this with the help of HTML, CSS, Bootstrap and JavaScript. So here we can type in, as we click on the buttons, we are getting inputs and we are getting results also. So this is our clear button and the other one is our delete button. That is, it deletes text one at a time. So this calculator is fully functional. We also have a decimal place in this, like 5.2. This is the divide symbol, divided by 2. So we will be making it with the help of Bootstrap. For Bootstrap, we just type in the browser getbootstrap.com and we will be directed to the home page of Bootstrap. From here, we will just go to Docs, and this will contain all the stuff that we'll need for our website. So let's start with it. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel. So let's begin. Firstly, we need an index.html file that will contain our HTML code. And we will be using a separate CSS file to write our CSS. We will create another file that is style.css. So let's start with the index.html first. So as we will be using Bootstrap, so we will insert the starter template that Bootstrap gives us, not the boilerplate that VS Code gives. So we will just copy this and paste it in our index.html. So let's start a live server and see. So we have started with our live server and this is what comes up over here. So we have just connected our page to Bootstrap, that is, Bootstrap has been applied to our page fully, as the margins and the paddings that are specified to the page by default have been removed by Bootstrap, and also the font style has been changed. So we'll just change the title from here, say it to be JS Calculator. I'll see. Next we'll remove this hello world. So currently our page is blank, so let's start inserting things in it. Firstly, we need a background, so let's add background to this. So we need to link our style sheet, since we will be adding background in our style sheet. So we have linked our style sheet. So let's specify a background to our body. So we'll just write the body tag, and it has a background image which will be specified with the URL. So the image URL will be, I'll just copy this one from here. I'll just copy this URL which has been used here. So let's see what comes up now. Yes, we are getting an image on the background. Now let's start with the content. So we'll go to our body and let's start with creating a div with the class name container, so that we have some margin and padding already specified with it. And within this container, we'll just create a row. So that we can specify how much columns we need our calculator to occupy. So in this row, we'll also add some more class names, that is, one will be cal, that stands for calculator. Next, we'll also add here a justify content to be center, since we need all our content in this row to be just aligned vertically and horizontally in the center. So justify content center. specifies the horizontal alignment, and align item center specifies the vertical alignment. So we have also added these two classes. Now inside a row, we'll create another div with a class name of call6. That is, we need to occupy just 6 columns. We need our calculator to occupy just 6 columns. And here we'll just add some padding top of 3, and we'll specify it a color of light, that is background to be light, and we'll also specify it a class of rounded. So rounded specifies border radius. So all the corners, that is the sharp corners, are being removed with rounded corners. They are replaced by rounded corners. So let's see what we get. So we get a box-like structure with rounded corners, and it is aligned horizontally in the center. So let's give it a heading of calculator first. For heading we are using h4 tag, and let's give it a heading of calculator and see if this comes up. So yes, we are getting a heading of calculator. So next we'll create another div, that is, we need a calculator with some input fields like this. So we'll just create this input field. For that we'll just create a div with a class name of mb3, since we want its margin bottom to be 3. Next, inside this we'll just type in input, type to be text, and the value of this input will be initially nothing. Next we'll just specify the class of form control that that Bootstrap forms have, so that it's styled accordingly, and we'll just close this tag. So we are getting an input field here. Next we need some buttons, that is these buttons. Firstly we need a clear button, then a delete button, then we need 4 buttons in a row. So for that we'll be creating separate rows. That is, first let's create a row for the clear and delete button. So this is the row. Let's specify it a font size of say 4. So fs is used for font size in Bootstrap. Next we'll create within it, so Bootstrap rows contains 12 columns, so we'll just specify 8 columns to our clear button, that is all clear button, and we'll also specify it with some other classes, that is C button. C button stands for just calculator buttons, and we'll specify a text center property, that is text align center. So we'll add a text center class to it. Next we'll say its font weight to be bold, so we'll use a FW class. Next we want its background to be blue, so we'll just say BG primary, as primary stands for blue in Bootstrap. Next we want its text to be white, so we'll just say text to be light. And we want some border on its edges, so we'll just say border. So we'll get border on all the sides. So the content inside this will be AC. So we'll create a same container with a class of call4, since we need to specify all the 12 columns. So this will have a class of call4, and rest all will be just same, and this will have a content of delete. We'll also change its background. Since we need its background to be gray, we'll just say BG to be secondary. And let's see what comes up. So this is our live server. So we are getting two buttons, that is AC and delete. So with this we are completed with our first row. Let's move on to our second row. For that we'll create another div with the class name row. In the second row we need 4 columns. So 4 columns. So we'll just add a class of call 3 to 4 divs that we will be containing in this row. So 3 into 4, that will be 12 columns will be occupied. So each button will occupy 3 columns each. This will also be specified with the class of C button, border, text to be center, and some padding on the y-axis to be 2. Created this div. Now we'll also specify it with a JavaScript function. We'll also add in here a JavaScript function, that is onClick. That is when we click that button, we want a function to be called, that is get, and we'll pass in here a value of 1. This will be the value of the button, that is here it will be containing 1. So just when we click on 1, we need the get function to get 1. We will be specifying this function again in JavaScript. So as we are just writing our HTML, so let's focus on it now. So we will be creating 4 divs here. So we have occupied all the 12 columns. Now we need to just change the content from here. That is a button with content 2 will call a function get2. Next we'll have 3. The content will be 3. And next we have plus. So we'll just enclose this in a single quotes. So with this we are completed with our first row. Let's see how it looks. So yes, we are getting 4 buttons. So let's just copy this row and we'll modify its content. So we'll just copy this row to how many rows we want. We just want 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll just copy this 3 more times. And we'll paste it. So let's change the content of the other rows also. So next we'll be having the buttons that say 4, and they will get a value 4. Next we'll have 5. Next we'll be having 6. And next the operator will be minus. It will also have a content minus. So with this we have styled our second row, that is we have modified the content of the second row. Next let's come to our third row. So third row will be containing buttons 7, 8 and 9. And the operator here will be multiplication. So let's move on to our last row. So the last row will be containing the button 0, then a decimal, So we will enclose this decimal also in single quotes. Next we have a divide button, and after that we have the equals to button that computes the results. So with this we have completed with our calculator content. So let's see. So yes, it looks the same as this one. And now it's time to style our calculator. That is, we need our calculator to just come in the center of the screen like this one. So we have specified a class to it. That is, we have specified a class of cal to our row. So we'll just style our row now. So here comes our style.css. We'll just say that the class, that is cal, so we'll just write dot cal has a height of say 100%. So since it has a height of 100%, so all the contents will be vertically and horizontally aligned to the center. And the body also has a height of 100 view height. So let's specify it with an important, since we are just overriding the bootstrap classes. And let's see if it works. Specify HTML comma body. So yes, we got our calculator in center. That is, we have specified it a height of 100 view height. That is, we want our calculator, that is dot cal class, to occupy a height of 100 view height. That is the height of a screen. So we have got a calculator in the center. Now we need this text, that is the calculator, to come in the center. For that we'll just add a class text center in the heading. So here we can just add a class of text center. So our calculator text comes in the center. Now let's add hover functionalities to our buttons. That is, we have given a class of C button to all our buttons, so we'll just target them with CBTN, C-BTN. We'll just say their cursor to be pointer, so that a pointing hand appears whenever we hover on that button to be pointer. Next, let's add the hover functionality to the button. That is, first we'll write the class of the button, then we'll say a colon, and when we hover on this button, we want its background color to change. Say 130, 125 and 125. Let's see if this works. So yes, we are just getting a cursor pointer and also the hover functionalities. So with this we have completed our styling part. Now let's come to our main part, that is the JavaScript part that we'll be using to make our calculator functional. So for our JavaScript, we'll just be adding a script tag below where we completed our HTML. So this was where we completed writing our HTML. So below this, just we'll be adding a script tag. We'll close the script tag. And within the script tag, we'll be writing our JavaScript. So firstly, we'll just declare a variable. So variable in JavaScripts are declared by just writing var and then writing the name of that variable. So we want a final variable that will be initially blank, and every line of JavaScript ends with a semicolon. And then we want to target the input. That is, whatever we write in this input field, we need to get that. The input field that is here. That is this input field we'll be targeting. So we'll just specify this input field with an ID of text so that we can target this input field. Whatever will be written in this input field will be our expression that we'll be evaluating with the help of a calculator. So we need that text. So that we'll be just storing in text, that is whatever the value. So we'll just get that element, that is document.getElement by ID. We'll just get that element and name it as text. So we have got an element with ID name text, and we'll just call that element to be text. And we also need the clear and the delete button. So for the clear and delete button, we need to specify specific IDs. So we'll go up. This is our clear button. So we'll just specify them with an ID of clear. And the delete button will be specified with an ID of the delete. So let's just take them also, since they need to be specified with some special functions. So we'll just target clear, that is we need clear element. So we'll just add the same, that is document.getElement by ID. So the element ID name is clear. Next we'll also just add delete. Document.getElement by ID. So the ID of the delete button is del. So we have got the three special elements that we'll be targeting. Next we'll just specify their functions. So first let's specify the get function. So a function can be specified by the fat arrow function, that is const, and we need a get function. So get, and we need to pass in it a parameter that will be getting the numbers. So we'll just add text.value. So the value of the input field that we have initially kept as blank. So we'll just add whatever the parameter is clicked, we'll just add it here. So we'll not say text.value to be para, because what this will do, I'll just show you. Like when we click in here, let's reload our page and then see. when I click here, so we are getting 5, but when I click on 2, we are replacing that 5. So when we keep on clicking, we need to add whatever the value of parameter is, we just need to add it to our text value. So for that, we'll just specify plus equals to, that is text.value is equal to text.value plus whatever the parameters. So let's see. So 5. Let's reload our page first. So here I click on 5 and then 8. So 8 is being added to it. And next let's add in whatever value we are getting in another variable, that is final. So that will store our final text.value. And we'll above this declare the clear function. So that is clear. Whenever we click on this clear button, we need an event to be executed. So we'll just add an event listener to it. Add event listener. That is on click, we want a function to be executed. So we'll just write function, round braces, and then we'll specify what function do we need to be called when we click on this clear button. So when we click on this clear button, we just want the text dot value, that is the element with the ID text, its value we need it to be blank. That is, we are clearing it. And we also need the final value to be just blank. And let's see if it works. So 6. Let's just reload this. 5. Something wrong with the code, maybe. Okay, so the listener spelling has been just written down. Listener. Listener. So yes, let's see. It should work now. So this is our 5, 2, and as I click on AC, so the text.value has been cleared. Now we have specified the clear button. Let's add the delete button property, that is delete. We need to specify with it an event. So when the delete button is clicked, we need to add an event listener to it. That is, when we click on it, we need a function to be called, and that function we are specifying here. Either we can specify it here, or we can write the name of that function and we can declare it separately. So we'll just be specifying it here only. We'll just say text.value. We need to delete just one value from there. That is just one part. So for that, we'll just write text.value dot substring. That is dot substring. We'll get a substring since as you can see, para is a string. So par or pa will be the substrings of para. So we'll get the substring. So the indice that we need is from 0 to text dot value dot length -1. So what this specifies is, we need the substring of text.value. Say if text.value is 98 minus 9. So we need its substring from the 0th index. So the length is 4. So that is 0th index to 4 minus 1. That is 3. So we'll just delete this 9. So we just need that. And after we get that, we'll just update our text.value with that. here this text.value is the value that our input field contains. So we'll just update it with this value. So this is what our delete function does. So let's add semicolons so that no error comes up. So with this we are done with the delete function. Let's see if it's working. So this is our 2, 5, minus 3. Let's delete. So we are deleting one at a time. So this is working completely fine. Now we need to add functionality. That is the main functionality to our calculator, that it calculates or not. So let's add a calculation functionality. So for that we'll just create another variable type. So we need our value, that is the value in the input, to be evaluated if we click on this equals to button. So we'll just specify this equals to button with an ID of eval, and here on click we don't need to get, that is we don't need to add the equals to button in the input. So we'll just remove this and we'll add an event listener to it. Instead of on click function, we'll just add an event listener to it. That is when we click on the button with name ID. So we'll just store this button with named ID in an evaluate variable. So let it say document dot get element by ID. ID of that button is eval. So when we click on that eval, we want an event to be executed, that is evaluate dot add event listener. Now when we click on this, we want a function to be called and round braces after that, and then within the curly braces we specify the function. So we just want that whatever be the value of that input, it should get evaluated. So for that we'll just create a variable answer, and that will contain eval function of JavaScript that just evaluates any expression, and we'll pass in it a parameter of final. That is whatever our final value contains, it will be evaluated with the help of JavaScript function, and then it will be stored in an answer variable. So then we want our answer to be printed in that input. So then we'll just say our text.value to be same as answer. That is, we want answer to be stored in our text.value. So let's see if it's working. So this is 8.2 into 9. And as we click on this equal to, we are evaluated with something. Then as we click on this AC, all is cleared. So 25 divided by 5 equals 5. So with this we are completed with our calculator. It's fully functional, that all the buttons we have specified are fully functional. And this is all for this video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Thank you.